Welcome to Holy Heartbeats. My name is Nathan, and I narrate Christ-centered testimonies from all over the world. These testimonies include rapture and end-times visions, near-death experiences, encounters with angels and demons, God, Jesus, and even Satan himself. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you are fond of listening to these types of stories, and let me know what you think about these testimonies in the comment section below. Furthermore, for those who want to share their personal testimonies, visions, and revelations from God, you can send us your own stories at holyheartbeat7@gmail.com. I will be very honored to read your testimony, which may inspire, edify, and encourage a lot of people in their personal journey of faith with the Lord Jesus Christ. The Disney Bloodline, Part 6. J. Disney and Mind Control. Once the reader becomes familiar with the programming scripts, it only takes watching the Disney television show Adventures in Wonderland, airing in the morning, to witness Disney mind control at work. Within just a few minutes one morning, this author observed a white rabbit creating a world in your mind, a direct quote from the show, using a ring. Watched Alice pass through mirrors, saw the white rabbit, who acts as the programmer, reading a book to a little girl, and the show telling viewers, "The white rabbit is our only hope." The deeper alters of Illuminati slaves, programmed for espionage, spying, blackmail, seduction, and assassination, are conditioned to live in a fantasy world, never fully touching base with reality. Much of this programming reportedly occurs at Disneyland. Visitors to Disneyland are taken on a boat ride where dolls sing an around-the-world theme song, "It's a Small, Small World." These doll displays in the amusement parks are used to program assassination and espionage alters. Both the song and the dolls play important roles in these alters' mind control programming. Some slaves around the age of 19 have this type of programming tested to ensure it is firmly in place. The song "It's a Small World" was composed by the Sherman Brothers for Disney originally as a theme song for a ride at the 1963-65 New York World's Fair. The Sherman Brothers were talents discovered by Disney. Born in New York City, both graduated from Beverly Hills High School and wrote songs for at least 29 Disney films. Mind-controlled slaves who repeatedly encounter each other without knowing why will often say, "It's a small, small world." Both rituals and programming continue at Disney amusement parks during both day and night. Stephen Rockefeller and Walt Disney traveled and spent time together with Dr. Hadley Cantrell, a well-established expert on human behavior. When Walt Disney began developing Walt Disney World, he sent Cardwalker to the Florida Capitol to request a quid pro quo, which the governor granted. This arrangement meant that Disney's property in Florida was entirely controlled under Disney's jurisdiction. They had their own laws, their own police force, their own hospitals, and their own tax rates. No outside authority could interfere with Disney's jurisdiction. Disney World's finances were untouchable and beyond the oversight of the state of Florida. Never before had so much power been relinquished. Disney World became a crime syndicate within the larger syndicate. Disney amusement parks operate like a city within a city, with their own security forces. Local police allow Disney security to manage their turf. Disney has its own policies, its own laws. Some security personnel are identifiable in plain clothes with clean-cut hairstyles and communication devices. The security forces have a headquarters with TV monitors displaying live footage of exit points at Disney and other locations. America's Most Wanted has maintained a substantial file on children kidnapped at Disney amusement parks. One mother, separated from her child while exiting a train, frantically told a guard her child was missing. The guard took her to the monitor room where they saw the kidnapper carrying the boy slumped over his shoulder, exiting the park. In that short time, the kidnapper had drugged the child, cut his hair differently, and put a different shirt on him. This mother was one of the fortunate few who managed to find their kidnapped children. An insider states that Disney police are definitely involved in moving and abusing innocent children brought in for occult rituals. Additionally, Disney security forces spy on their own employees. Employees do not enter or move about the parks like visitors. They have underground tunnels, entrances, and facilities for that purpose. One victim of total mind control mentioned a tunnel entrance located at the Matterhorn Mountain at Disneyland. The Matterhorn was opened by Walt Disney and his good friend Richard Nixon, who rode in the first car down the mountain. The Disney productions have provided the Illuminati cover to bring together illusionists, magicians, and special effects artists without arousing suspicion. Some of these individuals have used their talents to program children. For example, Disney special effects artists created 16 realistic-looking cadavers for the 1989 film Gross Anatomy. Walt Disney Inc. has partnered with Los Alamos and Sandia Laboratories, two organizations heavily involved in mind control and population control, to develop body scans, branding, and access codes for visitors to Disney theme parks. Each Disney theme park, such as Disneyland, Disney World, and Euro Disney, has vast underground facilities. These underground areas allow many workers to reach ride areas via tunnels. They also house the infrastructure necessary to maintain the parks, including wardrobe design and repair units, fitting rooms, restrooms, cafeterias, security units, computers, freight ramps, utility systems, and large connecting tunnels. The underground areas also contain programming rooms. They have their own power plants, water systems, and police forces. The Disney Company employs 71,000 people at multiple locations. One recent TV show cited the figure as 40,000 employees. People come and go 24 hours a day at Disney theme parks. 3 shifts maintain the continuous operation. Night crews repair and maintain the parks for the thousands of visitors arriving each morning. Disneyland naturally serves as a prop for carrying out mind control. The items they sell are also props designed for this purpose. For example, the Goofy watch, priced at $19.95, has hands that move backward to confuse a slave as to the actual time. Was Walt Disney aware of how Disneyland was used for programming? There is no doubt. Disney spent many nights at Disneyland and had an apartment at the firehouse near the train station on Main Street. At night, if he was not otherwise occupied, he would roam the grounds of Disneyland, scribbling notes on his distinctive blue paper, which he left for workers to follow the next day. The notes would say things like, "Replace these flowers," or "Move that bench." Walt Disney knew everything that went on in his Magic Kingdom. The Epcot Center and Disney amusement parks feature all kinds of occult triggers, including crystals, rainbows, wizards, and more, that reinforce programming. The Epcot Center includes 2 glass pyramids, along with the attraction Journey into Imagination. Disney World features the island of Atlantis on its submarine tour. Fantasyland is one of the most heavily used areas of Disneyland for mind control purposes. It includes carousels, cheerful music, an impressive castle, boat rides, storybook characters, and more. Sleeping Beauty Castle, with its blue turrets and gold spires, is the central visual icon of Disneyland. You cross a drawbridge to enter it. Inside Fantasyland are Illuminati programming sites such as the Mad Hatter teacups, the King Arthur carousel horses, and Snow White's forest. In the far corner of Disneyland's New Orleans Square is the Haunted Mansion. This mansion is designed to frighten and scare visitors, featuring ingenious design, numerous special effects, and illusions. Realistic ghosts, a screeching raven, howling voices, and other eerie phenomena welcome guests. Life-size holograms are created at the Haunted Mansion that dance in sync with the music and then fade out at certain points. There is a hologram of a woman's head inside a crystal ball who chatters non-stop, a source of amusement for the programmers of young children. Toward the end of the ride, visitors have the chance to look into a mirror where a hologram ghost nestles up beside them. Star Speeder is another notable programming location at Disneyland. It was created by George Lucas and the Disney Imagineers, utilizing technology borrowed from Star Wars and resembling military flight simulators used to train pilots. The Disneyland Hotel offers character breakfasts, where children eat breakfast with Disney characters, available to those who make special arrangements. U.S. Special Forces, known for conducting mind control, own 2 hotels near Disney World, and the Mormons also operate one. Near Disneyland is Knott's Berry Farm, which features Ghost Town, an amusement park, and Charlie Brown themes and characters. One of Disney's executives founded one of the most horrific trauma-based mind control programming centers in Los Angeles called Magic Castle, a comedy warehouse. This trauma center contained terrible torture chambers where children were brought in from South and Central America for programming. A courageous Los Angeles policeman exposed the site, lost his job in the process, but eventually succeeded in getting it shut down. One of Disney's recent ventures was the Disney Institute, which Newsweek labeled the Disneyland of the Mind. A private club called Club 33, located upstairs in New Orleans Square at Disneyland, is believed to be involved in mind control. Cub's Den supervises children's activities at the Wilderness Lodge Resort at Walt Disney World. At Disney MGM Studios, the major attraction is the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. Guests take a strange, scary trip through a haunted hotel before being sent into an elevator that drops uncontrolled for 13 stories. The ride has been advertised on television. Disneyland now features a temple to the Forbidden Eye, which is essentially a temple to the all-seeing eye, the Illuminati symbol. Visitors who patiently wait in line can strap themselves in for a jarring ride through a temple filled with snakes, rats, and mummies. One aerobics teacher reportedly could not walk for 3 days after the ride, which seems hokey but is more traumatizing than entertaining, perhaps by design. Disney Vacations for the Elite. Years ago, this author's newsletters exposed Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, as a retreat for the powerful elite, including retired generals and admirals, and the site of the elite's Renaissance weekend meat market. At one time, Hilton Head Island was private, with imported alligators in the surrounding waters. Entry was only allowed through security gates with clearance. In a later newsletter, Disney's Hilton Head Island Resort was mentioned. This resort, built by Disney Vacation Development Inc., is located on a 15-acre private island connected to Hilton Head Island by a narrow bridge. Members of the Disney Vacation Club can exchange vacation time at Disney and other resorts worldwide. Memberships cost a minimum of $9,412. Directly across from the entrance to Disneyland is the Assembly of God's Melodyland Christian Center, the birthplace of 10, Trinity Broadcasting Network. The Assembly of God denomination has been heavily infiltrated by the Illuminati and used as a front for programmed slaves. Paul Crouch, president of Trinity Broadcasting Systems, Inc., was affiliated with Melodyland in 1973 when TBS was getting started. At that time, Melodyland was a wealthy, heavily infiltrated charismatic church with many programmed multiples. In 1973, closet homosexual minister Jim Bakker and his wife Tammy Faye, a programmed multiple, were with Paul Crouch in Anaheim at Melodyland. Paul Crouch had been the assistant pastor at Bakker's home church in Muskegon, Michigan. Crouch's right-hand man was Alexander Valderrama, a charismatic Roman Catholic. TBS used an abandoned military base as their TV complex, repurposing hangars as studios. In the early 70s, ABC aired Bakker and Crouch's early shows on their affiliate stations on Sunday mornings. Bakker had launched his career with Illuminatus Pat Robertson and his 700 Club. Bakker later moved to the East Coast. To help Bakker manage finances, Bill Perkins, a former financial analyst for the World Order's mind control research at Sandia National Labs in Livermore, assisted him. Later, televangelist Bakker began building Heritage USA, envisioned as a big-money resort. Bakker hired former Disney employees to construct Heritage USA. Bakker modeled Heritage USA after Disneyland, Disney World, and other Disney properties. After Disney World opened in Florida, Bakker became a regular visitor. Heritage USA's Fort Heritage was modeled after Disney's Fort Wilderness, and its Main Street was modeled after the Magic Kingdom's Main Street. Even Disney's wrought iron fencing was copied. James Orson Bakker, named after Orson Welles, was from Muskegon, the same town as Kathy O'Brien, a freed mind-controlled slave. He was born premature and came from a family with suspicious circumstances. While Kathy O'Brien was programmed by the Catholics, Jim Bakker belonged to another denomination involved in programming, the Charismatic Assemblies of God. His grandfather, who lived next door to Jim and with whom Jim spent much of his childhood, was popularly known in town as a huckster and nicknamed Kingfish after the manipulative character on Amos and Andy. Tammy, his wife, grew up in International Falls, Minnesota, in poverty in the home of her stepfather and mother. Besides struggling with what she described as a shopping demon, she suffered from various phobias and mental health issues, which can be expected from someone who endured programming. It is worth noting who came to Jim Bakker's rescue when he was under attack. For example, on Thursday, October 4th, 1984, when Jim was facing criticism, his show featured 6 prominent endorsements praising him. Those endorsers were Ronald Reagan, Dale Evans, Robert Schuller, Oral Roberts, Billy Graham, and Rex Hubbard. Of these, this author can confirm that all except Rex Hubbard were Freemasons. Robert Schuller, Billy Graham, and Oral Roberts were Christian ministers known for their involvement with mind control slaves. These 3 ministers participated in secret satanic rituals. The preceding paragraphs provide only a sketchy outline of the intimate relationship between Disney mind control and the charismatic movement, and its use of trauma-based total mind control. Disneyana for the programmed and obsessed. For people who have been programmed with Disney themes and who are obsessed with Mickey Mouse and everything Disney-related, as well as collectors of Disney memorabilia, there is a group called Disneyana. Disneyana was organized in the 1980s and consists of individuals who show cult-like devotion to all things authentically Disney. Some express this devotion outwardly by tattooing Disney characters on their bodies. This group holds its annual convention at the Contemporary Resort in Florida. One Disneyana member at the convention said, "We collect to keep the good feeling inside." Another, when interviewed, stated, "This is why it's all about love." The author knows for certain that some men obsessed with Mickey Mouse and Disney items are programmed multiples. One of Kenneth Anger's occult friends possessed the world's largest Mickey Mouse collection. Who is Kenneth Anger? Kenneth Anger, a member of LaVey's Magic Circle and later his Church of Satan, is an occultist and underground filmmaker. Kenneth Anger, who chose the last name Anger, was raised on the Wizard of Oz books. His biographer, Bill Landis, wrote that the Oz books laid the groundwork for Ken's attraction to Crowley, the occultist who reworked Rosicrucian thought into his own magical system. Ken was obsessed with Crowley's life and magic. As a child, Ken danced with Shirley Temple in competitions after she became a child star. Anger loved the OTO's solar phallic religion and was also obsessed with Mickey Mouse. He spent time studying his friend's Mickey Mouse collection. Ken Anger cast actors for his film Lucifer Rising by telling occult friends and acquaintances they could live out their goddess or god power trip fantasies by acting for him. The British government's National Film Finance Corporation fronted £15,000 for the production of Lucifer Rising. Famous occult musician Jimmy Page provided the soundtrack gratis. Anger played the film's Magus, making his role resemble Mickey Mouse in the film Fantasia. Fantasia's role in mind control programming will be discussed later in this chapter. Lucifer Rising also opens with Fantasia-style volcanoes. Another well-known Anger film is Invocation of My Demon Brother. Mind control features in Disney movies. The mind control elements intentionally embedded within Disney movies are extensive enough to fill volumes. A detailed analysis of how one Disney film is used as a programming script follows, with Fantasia chosen as the example. A random sampling of mind control features in Disney movies includes Cogsworth, the enchanted mantle clock in Beauty and the Beast. The character Doorknob, a doorknob portrayed as a person in the Disney cartoon Alice in Wonderland, which is useful for programming doorknob altars. The Blue Yonder, a Disney movie about time travel involving a young boy. Time travel movies are used in programming to disrupt the victim's sense of time. The Disney film Animated Alphabet, in which letters come alive, useful for programming. The 1982 Disney movie Computers Are People 2. All the Illuminati members known to this author who have undergone trauma-based total mind control were taught to astrally project and study what they needed to learn on the astral plane. A Disney movie that portrays this is Goofy Over Dental Health, an educational film released in 1991 and again in 1993, where Goofy places a magical toothbrush under a child's pillow so the child astrally projects to a dentist's office and learns how to maintain healthy teeth. Illuminati alters believe that trees and flowers are alive. The 1932 Disney film, Flowers and Trees, tells a story about two trees who fall in love, portraying the occult belief that trees can talk and sing. Internally, altar systems are constructed with singing trees and flowers representing people who are altars. These singing trees give internal codes that move altars where they need to go. Return to Oz, 1985, begins its story with a girl who is thought to have psychological problems because of her tales of Oz. She is warned by relatives not to speak of Oz and is taken to a psychologist who wears a large ruby ring. The psychologist tells Dorothy that electroshocks will not harm her and that humanity is at the dawn of a new age. Dorothy is told her memories are just dreams caused by excess electrical activity in the brain. She is sent to a mental institution for shock treatments for talking about Oz. A lightning storm enables her to escape the treatments, and when she sleeps, she awakens in Oz. There she endures many mind control scenarios involving ruby slippers, mirrors, and more. Toward the end, she encounters evil Mombi, Princess of Oz, who keeps Ozma, Dorothy's twin, as a slave. Mombi eventually casts a spell, enchanting Ozma into a mirror. Science fiction author J.D. Vinge, in her screenplay-based work Return to Oz, writes, Dorothy gazed at herself in the mirror, seeing her own reflection and remembering the moment when she had looked at herself and seen someone else there, someone so like her that it could have been her sister. Parts of this film were shot near Stonehenge, England. Disney has produced several films based on the Wizard of Oz theme, all of which have been used for programming. The original series of Oz books were written by Baum. In 1939, MGM released the famous Wizard of Oz film. In the Disney movie Tron, 1982, a young computer genius enters an altered state where he becomes a computer program. After defeating the Master Control Program, MCP, he returns to the real world. This serves as a programming script. A special effects team created a three-dimensional world, demonstrating how talented Disney's special effects artists are at making something appear real. This movie reveals their mind control capabilities. The Mathematical Applications Group, Inkirser, MAGI, was one of the groups responsible for creating the graphics. Disney also released 3 videos of New Adventures in Wonderland, which serve as mind control programming. Every morning from 9 to 9:30 on Channel 21, Disney airs a Wonderland show designed as mind control programming for children. Within minutes, this author observed a girl walking through a mirror, the mention of the 3 lives of Thomasina, and a little ditty, I'm a Little Teapot, where a person transforms into a teapot. There was also an Under the Umbrella scene. This was all pure programming, broadcast right on television. Of course, the White Rabbit is presented as a central figure. ABC, under Disney's auspices, produced a lengthy 140-minute film titled Wild Palms, which depicts Illuminati mind control and lifestyle. One reader of Volume 2 stated that Wild Palms would have made no sense if they had not read Volume 2, but after reading it, the film made perfect sense in light of the revelations there. The film shows how children are kidnapped, switched at birth, programmed via TV cartoons, trained to kill, and taught to use stun guns. It portrays Illuminati bloodlines and arranged marriages. Although the term Illuminati is never used, viewers who substitute the Fathers for Illuminati Fathers will gain an insider's view of life at the top. The main controllers are addressed by their slaves as Papa, Daddy, or Mother, which is true to life. A character opposing the Fathers states, "One day we will wake up and discover we don't own this country and no one will care." The movie insists that events are not happening randomly. The film shows an underground tunnel system with an entrance hidden beneath a swimming pool. Several actual programming codes are spoken during the film, such as down, down, down through the pool of tears, and we're going to go down the yellow brick road now. The movie was created by Bruce Wagner, who is clearly an insider concerning trauma-based total mind control. The very existence of the film reveals the arrogance of the programmers, who believe their criminal acts in programming thousands of children will not be exposed, and that people will be too ignorant to realize that what is presented as fiction actually mirrors reality. They seem to believe their own script. If people find out, no one will care. Because much Illuminati programming involves the creation and programming of three alters linked as trinities, it is unsurprising that Disney has supported such triad programming with a series of films about threesomes, including Three Blind Mouseketeers, The Three Caballeros, The Three Little Pigs, The Three Little Wolves, The Three Lives of Thomasina, The Three Musketeers, Three Ninjas, and Three Orphan Kittens. For Mickey Mouse programming, Disney released Through the Mirror, in which Mickey Mouse steps through his bedroom mirror and ends up in another world, an altered state. Not all Disney movies with mind control themes have been released to the public. One unreleased cartoon featured Penelope fleeing from a sinister grandfather clock that carried her to another world, and included a scene where Penelope tries to hold on to someone who personifies the wind. George Lucas, who directed the Star Wars movies, films planned by the Illuminati and used for Illuminati programming, also directed Disney's Captain EO. Captain EO, who appears as a demonic entity, goes to rescue the Queen, who resembles the harlot described as Mystery Babylon in the Bible. The Queen is held captive because she and her people believe in black and white, representing good and evil. When they renounce such beliefs, they are saved by Michael Jackson, who, in real life, was a mind-controlled slave, playing Captain EO. The film is New Age witchcraft through and through. Incidentally, Michael Jackson visited Disney amusement parks many times, sometimes in disguise. It is public knowledge that his Jehovah's Witness family was very abusive to their children, both mentally and physically. Disney has also produced several movies about how the mind works, such as the educational film The Brain and Nervous System in 1990. Their film Runaway Brain is a cartoon where Dr. Frankenolli transplants Mickey's brain into a monster's body and vice versa. The 1994 film Puppet Masters depicts the government's secret office of scientific intelligence attempting to save the U.S. from aliens who live in human bodies. In recent years, Bette Midler has been one of Disney's main actresses. Volume 2 exposed that she is possibly a monarch mind-controlled slave. She is known for her mood swings, switches in personality, and suffered a mental breakdown in 1985. Her eyes and body language reveal those of a programmed multiple. She has toured for Disney without making money and is best friends with Jeffrey Katzenberg, Disney's second-in-command. Katzenberg, by the way, is extremely disliked by his counterpart Sid Sheinberg. Bette Midler played Stella in the movie Stella. Stella is an occult name. The script seems tailored for Midler as a programmed slave, rather than an actress simply fitting the role. At the film's end, Stella attends her own daughter's wedding by peeking in a window and watching from outside. This is the script given to many parts of a slave's personality so that they feel unworthy and perpetually on the outside, looking in at life. Many parts of a slave find it difficult to connect with real life because they feel detached and excluded. In true Disney fashion, Disney cast Bette Midler as the lead witch in Hocus Pocus. The movie Hocus Pocus performs some hocus pocus of its own. While pretending to mock witchcraft, it actually teaches it. The three witches are portrayed comically, but they represent the maiden, mother, and crone triad revered by the Illuminati. Disney subtly weaves deep occult symbols into the film, such as the all-seeing eye on the cover of a book, and a little girl promising a cat, a familiar spirit, that her descendants will always care for it. This is true, as the cat is depicted as a generational spirit. Although the cat is killed in the movie, it cannot die. Bette Midler, as the lead witch, wears a costume adorned with Mother of Darkness symbology. As she prepares to drain the life force from an innocent girl, she says, "We want to live forever, so we take children's lives." Is this wholesome entertainment for children? Disney's capacity for deception extends even to its own workers. Public relations representatives recruit young people for the Disney College program, promoting it as a fantastic stepping stone for their careers. They use slick recruiting tactics that make it sound like the greatest opportunity ever. Students come from all over the country, enticed by these promises. However, once hired, they are housed in Disney accommodations, assigned menial jobs, and paid low wages. Most participants in the college program leave disillusioned. If a worker comes up with a great idea, Disney officials have been known to steal it. Because the worker is employed by Disney, they find themselves unable to claim credit or compensation for the idea that Disney exploits for millions of dollars. One uncredited creator of a Disney sales item remarked, "Literally, they're using everybody for everything." Next is the script explaining how the Disney film Fantasia has been used as a standard programming tool since the 1940s by the Illuminati. Detailed script on how the Disney film Fantasia is used for programming. Trauma-based, mind-controlled slaves. During the 1950s, 1960s, and 1970s, at least 90% of the Illuminati's trauma-based, mind-controlled slaves were subjected to watching Disney's Fantasia repeatedly to build the foundational imagery for their mind control. Child victims had their eyes taped open and were placed one-on-one with their primary programmers, who fed them scripts as the children watched Fantasia over and over. What made Fantasia unique as a programming tool was that it contained nearly everything the programmers needed to create a solid foundational imagery for trauma-based mind control. To build a dependable altar system, the internal worlds require a firm foundation, and Fantasia provided the means to establish that foundation. The film is also a masterpiece in coordinating color and music. Fantasia, which premiered on November 13, 1940 at the Broadway Theater in New York City, was a financial disaster as a movie, but a programming masterpiece for the Illuminati. It was re-released in theaters multiple times, in 1940, 1946, 1956, 1963, 1969, 1977, 1982, 1985, and 1990, to reach every generation of children. The video was released in 1991. During programming, much of the child slave's mind watches the film. One particular altar will be forced to memorize everything in Fantasia. This small altar is carefully hidden in each victim's mind. It has vivid, total recall of the film, but is locked away so that only a special access code can bring it forward. Watching the videotape alone will not summon this altar. Programmers bring this altar forward when they have a clean slate altar active. While the clean slate is in control, the altar who memorized Fantasia projects its memory onto an internal big screen inside the victim's mind. The internal outer space, also known as Rubicon, is shaped like an amphitheater and functions as a vast screen for replaying imagery. An internal ball or sun is created via the lighting effects of the movie Fantasia, so the movie appears projected in the mind as if on a globe. The images from Fantasia strike this internal globe, circulate through the mind, and spin through the system. The programmer will then instruct the new part of the mind, saying, "This is what I want you to create. This is what we need." In this manner, Fantasia serves as the primary tool for taking a dissociated, clean slate part of the mind and manipulating it into becoming a new, functional part within the system. The young part of the mind that retains the full memory of Fantasia is strategically placed within the system so it can be accessed from any part of the structure. No matter where the programmer is working within the system, they can call upon this small altar, whose sole function is to remember the movie. Most of the system enters a trance-like sleep when shown the film. The front, along with most of the system's altars, will have no memory of ever seeing it. Since the programming tied to Fantasia is so fundamental, it is no surprise that the programmers have gone to great lengths to protect it from discovery, even by the slave. Abreacting the film for many altars could destabilize the entire system, as severe trauma is overlaid and attached to the film after its memorization. While some small altars may retain fragments of the movie, only one will carry the complete memory. The film was often shown to child victims around 3 or 4 years of age on a wide screen, while the child was under the influence of a guided LSD trip. Before LSD, other drugs were used. A grande dame or mother of darkness frequently assisted the Illuminati programmer in these sessions. Scripts and programming directions were discussed beforehand, ensuring the programmers knew how to guide the child and tailor their dialogue to individualize the programming. When a 3 or 4-year-old child was shown Fantasia during a hypnotically prepared and controlled LSD trip, the film's colors and effects were magnified 1,000-fold. To the child, the film appeared more vivid and real than life itself. The movie was not shown just once but repeatedly, allowing the scripts to become deeply ingrained in the child's mind. The vivid imagery from the movie was used to construct the internal world of the child's mind. The combination of drugs and the movie's bright, elaborate artwork created an experience that felt more tangible than reality. By this time, the child was already a multiple, but the walls between various parts of the mind were still permeable, similar to the walls between ego states in a non-multiple adult. A significant portion of the 3 or 4-year-old child's system, including the Christian parts, would be allowed to view the film. The entire system, except for the alter that retained the full memory of the movie, would then be hypnotically instructed to forget ever having seen it. Years later, the front alters would have no conscious memory of the film, but might develop an inexplicable aversion to it. They might find themselves unable to identify the source of their feelings. The child victim watched the film in one-on-one sessions with the programmer and their assistant, with no other children present. The child viewed the movie repeatedly and was extensively questioned about its content. This rigorous testing ensured that the movie was fully memorized. However, the programmers hypnotically locked the memory away in the subconscious, where it formed the foundation for the mind's programming while remaining inaccessible to the conscious mind. When Fantasia was created, the Illuminati had already been training multiples for years. However, they sought to refine their techniques by programming personalities using the best mind control methods of the time. Fantasia was deliberately planned to serve as a programming aid. The film is mostly silent, with minimal dialogue, relying heavily on music, which makes it ideal for hypnotic visualization. This allowed the Mother of Darkness and the programmer to insert their scripts into the child's subconscious as they watched the film. The Illuminati's plans were successful. New Age author David Tame described Fantasia in his book The Secret Power of Music as a superb marriage between the visual and musical arts, and noted that many sequences exemplify what New Age cinema aspires to be. The movie's ability to influence the mind is undeniable. Disney employed strong-arm tactics to ensure the film's creation, but Fantasia was a box office failure when it was first released in the 1940s. However, it was never intended for mainstream success. It was designed for the occult world. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you in our next video.